All right, good afternoon. This is Brenda Meller with Meller Marketing. We're going live today on Facebook and on LinkedIn, and I'm so excited for today's topic. My friend Carrie LeZotte is joining me, and I'm going to be interviewing Carrie, and we're going to be having a conversation about being camera ready. She's going to offer us some awesome tips. I don't know about you guys, but I'm always a little bit nervous when I go in front of the camera. And Carrie is just really phenomenal about sharing her expertise in this area. So what I'm doing right now is, as we go live broadcasting from, I'm using StreamYard, and as we go from StreamYard to LinkedIn, there's a little bit of a delay. And I always like to wait until that picks up so that we can make sure that we've got a viewing audience with us. So if you are watching us, if you could, please drop us a comment below and let us know where in the world you're joining us from. Hey there, here we are. And if you're watching this in live stream or if you're watching this in playback. And as we're going throughout the day's broadcast, periodically I'm going to lean in, kind of look at my phone here and look at the comments that are coming in. So if you guys have any questions about being on camera, whether it's video or kind of what you wear, those types of things, lighting, sound, those types of things, let us know and we'll have Carrie take some of your questions. So, but before I turn it over to Carrie, I'm just going to see who's joining us here online. And we've already got 23 people, Carrie. So you've got a following that's already coming along for us here.
Well, I sent out the invite, right?
You did a great job. So we have Mohammed from Bangladesh. So we're international. Look at that already. Hey, Mohammed, how are you? Thanks for joining us. Kevin says hello, Brenda and Carrie. Hi, Kevin. How are you? Andy Foote is joining us. Pleasure to see your name online, Andy. I will expect friendly banter in the comments below. Andy's in snowy Chicago. I think the snow is coming towards us next. We have Shauna, who is a fellow member of Detroit Together Digital, joining us. Nice to see you online.
Thank you for answering the ask.
And then we have Dorothy, who's in my hometown, Fraser, Michigan. Nice to see you online, Dorothy. And Kevin is joining us live on LinkedIn from Beverly Hills, Michigan. So again, guys, if you're just dropping in now, leave us a comment below. Let us know where you're watching from, if you're watching live or in the playback. And give this video a like, whatever network you're watching it on as well. So Carrie, how are you doing today?
I'm good. Nice to be here. Thanks for having me.
I am so excited to have this conversation. We've been planning on this for a little while. And a little bit of the backstory here, guys. I've known Carrie for a couple of years. I'm not even sure, maybe 5. I don't think it's been 10 yet, but it has to be over 5 at this point, right, Carrie?
I'm sure that it is.
Yeah.
Yep.
So I've been a fan of Carrie's for such a long time. And I think we originally met through a women's networking group here in Michigan called Inform. I think it was that Carrie maybe came to the affinity group that I host over in Troy, but she really hit the scene for me when I went to hear her speak at Inform Detroit. And she was talking about being camera ready and being on camera. And it was just such a great session. The room was full. There was great tips being shared all around. So really great. And I said, Carrie, you're amazing at this. You've got to come back to Inform Troy and present the same topic there. And she did. And so we've just been really sharing a lot of tips back and forth. And I've learned things from Carrie. Right now, I've actually got a lighting kit on me. I've got my camera angled. Carrie, you'll be so proud of me. I've got my camera angled slightly higher than my head, and it's tipped down. So did I do that right?
Yep, looks good.
Good. So Carrie, welcome. So why don't you start, if you could, by telling our viewing audience a little bit about you, your background, and then we'll jump into some camera ready tips.
Sure. Again, thanks for having me. And so right now, I'm moving my business into camera ready coaching. And so I guess what that means is that I'm helping other people who maybe aren't as tech savvy. Everybody wants to make videos these days. And I think that it's cost prohibitive for a lot of small businesses. And so how do you make videos that are available for everybody to watch? So on platforms like LinkedIn, and any of us that have kids that are, 20 or younger, they're doing it all the time. And those of us that are 40 or older, I think that we didn't grow up with all of this. And so that's kind of where I'm taking my business now. I've been making videos. So I was fortunate enough to be, I grew up in Dearborn, and in Dearborn, we had one of, a really visionary teacher. He was an English teacher, Russ Gibb. He just passed away last year. And Russ was a leader in bringing video into high school. So pretty much before anyone else in the country had it, we had it here a program in Dearborn, and you could just tell that there were interesting things going on in that classroom. And so I started video in high school at that time, and this was the late 80s, and I pretty much never left. And so many of the kids from those classes went on to do other videos and work in the film industry and everything. But that's really where it started. Yeah. And so having stayed in Michigan, I've been able to really do a little bit of everything, because if you go to California or New York, you pretty much have to, you're a documentary filmmaker, you're making commercial television, you're in the movie business, you're doing movies of the week. You end up in one industry. Whereas if you're in Michigan, you get to do a little bit of everything. And so I spent 10 years doing video production internally at Comerica Bank. And during that time, I was making instructional videos for internal communications, but then on the weekends and any free moment I had, I was doing other projects, working with nonprofits, supporting other educational work in the city of Detroit for a long time. So that's kind of like, I guess, the nutshell of what my experience has been. And then when the film incentive came through Michigan, what was that? Gosh, now probably 10, 11 years ago.
Yeah, it was about 10 years ago. That's crazy.
Yeah. So the bank the bank moved their headquarters to Dallas, and it was the same time that the incentive passed. And so I was ready, I was able to go right from banking into running my own business and producing content that was really interesting at that point. So that's what I was doing at that time.
Yeah. So most of your career,
it's a long career. It's a long time.
It's sorry. I mean, what I heard was a couple of themes there too. I mean, you found your passion pretty early on when you were still in high school, and you kind of followed that through. But you've also evolved as the industry has evolved. But you've spent most of your time behind the camera looking out, right? And like we were talking about this today, you're like, this is like going on live TV. This is live. This is not produced where you can edit and clip and things, things happen on live. And, I've always told my viewers, I never make mistakes on live. I experience learning situations, if you will. And then I share with my viewers, my audience, what we learned from that. But, you've learned a lot of things from being behind the camera, and probably you've learned things from others. You've learned techniques from people that you've worked with, your subjects, if you will, your stars, if you will, in the videos as well. So let's talk about this. So camera ready. I mean, you're working, and my understanding too, Carrie, is mainly video, but a lot of the tips that you're sharing work for photography as well, right? Portraits and things like that?
Sure. Okay. I mean, just because it's still photography, they have a little bit, the capabilities that they have in post-production, they can take away like fine lines and wrinkles, and if your hair is kind of like going off and it's being lit, they can take that stuff out. But a lot of the tips and tricks are still useful for still camera, and really being ready every day, just being more visible, and anytime being more visible or invisible, I guess, because sometimes you don't want to be real visible either.
Right. And on that note, I was like, I got to tell you, Carrie, I mean, I know you're a little nervous coming on live, and I think you're amazing, and I'm just so happy you're talking about it. But I was nervous because I'm like, oh my gosh, I have to wear the right thing, and I've got to wear the right colored lipstick, and I've got to have my hair and everything. And I'm like, you know what? I'm not trying too hard on this one, because this is really about Carrie. And I usually wear like my signature color pink, and I tried to find something that didn't clash with my lipstick and that wasn't going too crazy. And I'm like, and then my hair, I'm like, I'm just pulling. This is what I do. I pull up my messy mom bun kind of thing. These are my days where I feel like you get this polished look without having to try too hard in it. But one thing, and I'm noticing we're both wearing bright colors on camera, and it leads me to one of our first questions that we've had come in. I'm just going to read this out on here. This is actually from one of our fellow Together digital members, Shauna. She's asking, what are the best colors to wear when you are in front of the camera?
Well, I think that the thing is to wear color. So I would say the best color is your favorite. And I just like, usually I really gravitate towards green. So today I did make a choice to try and not wear green because I wear it all the time. Yeah. So I think what you don't want to wear is black, because black is a color that is going to absorb all of the light. So I don't know, you may or may not have noticed, but stagehands and crew people who are behind the scenes always wear all black, and that's
Yeah.
to make them disappear. So I
Yeah.
feel like wearing black is a choice that if you don't really want to be noticed, but if you do, you want to wear color. And I really even like head to toe color, and sometimes that can feel like really, it's like almost too much. But if you're going to be on stage or doing a presentation, I think head to toe color really stands out, and more so like the bold colors like this color, or I guess I got to point this way, Brenda's
Right. Well, and I was
scarf
thinking,
that she has on.
yeah, I was even thinking as I was getting dressed today. I mean, I started with, I'm just going to show you guys here too. I go live and I just like do whatever I want to do on camera here because I can. So if I had just worn a gray kind of plain top, and I'm blending, to your point, Carrie, I'm fading into the background. I'm kind of blending in with my couch that's behind me. But then I think this is one of the tips I learned from you too, is like you want to have some accent color, some decorative, something that's kind of popping on camera. But what I also learned from you is you don't want it to be too distracting or too many patterns, right? Where it's taking away from the point, the camera being on you, right?
Right. Well, a really small pattern could, do a little something on the screen. But I think that the thing with a pattern is that it's extremely memorable. So if you're going to wear it, you probably are going to just wear it the one or two times that you're going to be photographed in. Yeah. And when I made my choice today, I was also thinking ahead to how is it going to look when I put the link to the video on my LinkedIn page, because I just wanted like a bold color. And I knew the frame was going to be really small, so I just wanted to make sure that this part framed me and stood out really well. I will say, there's things that, there's always something to change. So, yeah, exactly. So when I put it there, that it'll stand out really well.
So when you do post this video afterwards, Carrie, where will you put this? Isn't this fun, like live videos, like up and up. When you put the video out, are you going to put it in your banner? Are you going to put it in your media section?
I think I'm going to put it in that big section where there's just a couple, if you scroll down a little bit more, where you can see them. Yeah, right here. I think I'm going to put it right there. So then it'll really pop off the page nicely.
Yeah, and this is a newer section on LinkedIn, and I don't think it's rolled out to everyone. If you're watching this right now in live, let me know, do you have the featured section yet? It's something they started rolling out, I think about a week or two ago, and they're kind of gradually, but it's starting to look like it's being pushed out to more people. But before you had just like kind of little thumbnails that were under your about section. Now we have these really nice big blocks, and Carrie's showcasing some of her work. I know the first one there, I think is the Davis and Davis video, yes. Right, Carrie?
Right. Yeah.
And then the second video was some work that you had done with Mayor Mike Duggan, if I'm not mistaken.
Right. Yes.
Yeah. So I know you've done you work with different folks who work in politics as well. And I seem to recall a story, I'm putting you a little bit on the spot here, Carrie. Okay. But I seem to recall a story about there was someone who who I think you convinced them to start wearing a red blazer.
Oh, Rosemary Bayer. Yes. Yeah.
So tell us the backstory there.
She's our Michigan rep, where I live in Franklin. And so, Rosemary, she comes from a tech background, and she had a bunch of stuff in her wardrobe, and she didn't really know what to wear. And so I was just volunteering for her campaign, doing a little bit of video work. And she literally just sent me like screenshots of the things that were already in her closet. And I was like, it was so easy. I was like, that red one's what you're going to wear. And so now when you see her, she is wearing other things than her red jacket now, but you can even see like when she is photographed in other things, your eye goes right to that red jacket. And she's worn other red sweaters and red pieces as well, because I think she's now put it in her head that's what's stand out. The other thing I just wanted to mention about color, because we talked about black and color, and the other thing is white. You really want to avoid wearing white. Just because, especially when there isn't anybody controlling the camera or the lighting, or you're just in a room somewhere, or even if it's just, a little iPhone video or something, that white is going to be so reflective, and then the contrast is so much that it just becomes kind of like, it just doesn't look very good. It's almost like when you shoot into a window and the sun's coming in. That's kind of how white is. So
just kind of washes it out. Yeah. And I remember you telling me, I learn tips from you all the time too. I remember you telling me, I've done some other lives where I'm in my home office, and it's a very clean I have white cream colored walls. And the one day I think I was wearing a very light
And
colored
your hair matched your wall color.
That's what you said. You're like, my hair when it's down, I have blonde highlights in it. And you're like, you just blended into everything. And I was like, from my perspective, for me, I was like, oh no, it looks great. It's natural. It's, it's a nice even flat. And you're like, no, you're blending in. Like, I can't see you. You're camouflage there. So I thought that was a really good tip. But I think sometimes working with somebody who's kind of an outside expert or resource, can help you to see the things that you're not, because that's not something I was seeing about myself. And along with that, I'm going to go into some more tips, but I do want to point out one thing here, guys, too. I've put on my screen here, facebook.com/Meller Marketing. If you'd like to ask a question, if you go to facebook.com/Meller Marketing and you ask a question in the live stream there, I can actually pull your question up on screen to give you a little bit of visibility. And the bonus is that question will remain on the video in the playback as well. So you get a little bit of visibility for yourself and your name, as well as that question if I put it up on screen. So moving on, Carrie, I want to kind of shift this a little bit to a conversation about DIY video, because a lot of us are, using these lovely little iPhones, and the quality is pretty good nowadays. But I remember I think it was when I was filming you, we did I think it was a Facebook Live at Inform Troy, where we were talking about camera ready tips, and you were suggesting, a couple things, one was that I have the camera a little bit higher than eye level, because then we avoid the turkey neck or whatever, that double chin thing, right?
I would never call it that. That's so gross.
That's my term, I guess. But I remember you saying, because you don't get this, you want to be a little bit higher than eye level. And then the other thing, I think I have my device with me. So the back of my camera, this is where the front of it is right here. And then the back of it has this round disc. And I didn't even notice it until you pointed it out to me. And you said, make sure that the camera's facing, the camera's facing you. So you're looking at here, you're not looking at the screen, so things don't get kind of transposed and reversed in here. And I didn't even notice that this device had this unit on here. So talk to us a little bit about other tips if we're doing videos ourselves using our iPhones.
Okay. Right. Or if you're sitting behind your laptop computer. So the number one that I want everybody to do is put their laptop computer on some kind of platform and raise it up. So right now I am using a laptop computer to talk to you on. I thought that would be a good reason, or a good use of the equipment. And I've got probably a foot between the table and the laptop itself, because now I'm looking slightly, when I look to the lens, I'm looking slightly up. Right. So if we don't do that, then we get kind of this is more of like the standard of what you see when you watch TV. And that's kind of like, for me, that's what I think people are going to expect when they, are watching a video with me, or if I'm going to come and shoot something for them. They're not going to want a video where, most of what we're seeing, I'll just demonstrate this so that we can see, is like if you're seeing the top of your ceiling. So, usually you see like the top of the ceiling in the video. Oops, sorry. Can you still hear me?
This is live, you guys. You're going to see it all along.
So you see the top of the ceiling, or like at the top of the back wall.
Yeah.
Your lens is, you've now tilted your laptop up, and it's just not going to be the most.
Oh, like if you're at the angle that you're watching your computer, and you're referring to tips. So if somebody is filming from the laptop camera, is what you're referring to.
That's right. Yeah. And this is probably when I do my workshop, this is probably one of the things that people are like, oh, it never occurred to me to do that.
Right.
Like a couple boxes of Kleenex, or those big giant that you have sitting around the house, just put them around your laptop. I mean, you're not going to be able to type and work, but if you're doing a video conference or a video interview
like that,
nobody wants to be looking up your nose.
Right.
And this
is more, I'm using, instead of a laptop cam, because I did upgrade, I have an external webcam that I use, but this one is actually, and this is at about chin level for me, but when I angle it up, it's just a much more, I can kind of angle my camera around a little bit, and you can even tell, like when I'm doing video interviews with another person, I try to make sure that we're in about the same size in the frame, because I don't want to be like this, right? And Carrie's all the way up front in the camera, because there's a psychological thing that happens there. Oh, she's not as important as the other person. So we want to try to keep our angles the same too.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so go ahead.
And so I guess that also translates to when you're sitting down for an interview on camera. And, a lot of times what I've seen happen is that someone behind the camera, and they just may not be thinking of it, is that they kind of set the camera at a height that is easy for them to operate.
Right.
And really it should, you need to boom up. So that camera just needs to go up further. So maybe the tripod, a lot of the less expensive tripods, they don't extend very long, but you can put it on a table or something like that. So keeping the lens above you is probably the biggest thing. It's just going to be a more flattering shot. And even when I was getting ready for this show today, because that's what it is, I was getting ready for the show and I was like testing over and over again, like the perfect height. And you still feel like I was like, how am I still looking down? And it's just something you kind of have to practice and test a little bit. So that's one of my number one tips is the camera position for sure.
That's good. And then so I had you join this. I said, let's make sure that we're on at about 5 to the hour so we can make sure audio and visual and everything's all set up. And I usually go on between a half hour to 20 minutes before just to make sure everything's all set. And you were already on at that point, and you commented to me that you'd been setting up for an hour already. And I was like, I thought that was awesome. And obviously you put a lot of care and attention. This is what you do for a living, because the average person is probably setting up their iPad or their iPad rather, or their iPhone and plopping it into place, or flipping on their desktop webcam without a lot of thought that's going into it. So I love how, you're putting a lot of care and attention, and you're testing angles. You're always kind of looking at, does this look better? And you are strategically thinking about what's behind you too, right?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
So I just shot a training video that I'm producing, pretty much the same content. So for potential clients of mine. And when I had one person come and help me, and we spent an entire day, like literally 6-8 hours to find the right spot, to test everything out, to make sure the lighting was right. And that was even before I got myself camera ready, like as far as wardrobe, hair, and makeup. It was just setting the camera in the right spot in the house. So we spend a lot of time in prep. And, when you're working with someone, a professional camera operator, usually with professional cameras, there's such a variety of cameras out there these days. A guy gets hired for a job, they spend a full day's work going through all of the settings on a camera and setting all of the gear out and making sure everything works perfectly. So that's kind of like the pre-production of a technical department. And, my responsibility as a producer or director is to make sure that all of those pieces, even if it's just myself, I'm like a huge list maker. So even though I've been doing this work for, more than 20 years, I just make lists of all the same things. Like, do I have the computer, the camera, the tripod, like all of the components, are the batteries charged, just because it helps me work through what needs to get done. And then I'm secure in my list.
Right. Then there's no surprises that are happening. So putting you on the spot a little bit on this question, do you have resources like through a blog or a checklist or things like that you are sharing with other people? I know you do some workshops. So can you talk to us a little bit about what are the resources that you might have that you could share with the community here today?
Sure. So I think that I've started doing like this 1 hour camera ready workshop. It's kind of all of the technical basics and just thinking about how you look in front of the camera. So that's like workshop number 1. And now I really started just shooting more with my own iPhone myself and getting more consumer tools myself so that I could be confident in what I was recommending to people, because, not everybody is going to go out, and like few people are going to go out and spend $4,000 on a light kit, which is what I own. So what do I have? What is available that other people can buy? So I am still researching. I'll show you a picture of this. Like, I bought this one recently, which is like this little, this whole piece was really inexpensive. So one of the things that I'm doing now with my training, they are a client now, which is really exciting. So someone contacted me, they wanted to make videos, and we went back and forth for a bit. And he said, we met, and what we decided is that we're going to make the video so they feel more homemade. And I said, okay, that's great. And I think that you should do that. but I can still come in and coach you on what you need to buy in order to be ready. So
Yeah.
as far as like, do I have a link to send people to right now? I don't, but I am working on it. But I want to have confidence in what I recommend to people. And part of my problem, especially with audio, like I will tell you, like, so I have it's this little teeny mic right here.
Yeah. So how do you have that plugged into your, I mean, is it plugged into your laptop? And we were talking about this before I jumped on, because I have like one hole in my laptop.
So I sent you that video, the link, and you can probably scrub through it and find there's a little red adapter that I bought for it. So this is a $15 mic, and I think that it does a totally fine job at home. It's just that I have like a Sony lavalier microphone that I use professionally that ran about, I don't know, $500, which is very affordable for the professional gear, and it works well.
But average off the street, you know.
So I'm trying to take that and use it on the iPhone. And my problem with using equipment that is not professional is that I don't have faith that it will always work. And especially when you're mobile, you know, even with tripods, you know, a $60 or an $80 tripod is a piece of junk. And so if you're going to use it at home and you just have a set up studio all the time, it's not going anywhere. It's going to be okay, but you can expect it to break at some point, because like a professional tripod is about $8,000 for what is used and rented all the time. And kind of like the mid-range is maybe $600 tripod. So, and that's not what everybody needs to use. So I am trying to figure out, like, how can you just shoot with an iPhone, and what is the tripod setup that you need to have in order to make that happen? So I am still working on that, because I'm trying to let go of kind of like these professional expectations as far as how, you know, all of it, as far as how good does the gear need to be, because really it's focusing on the content, and that's what's most important.
Right. And for you, I mean, this is what you do for a living, so you want to invest in it. And I think when I first got my first tripod, I probably spent 25-ish on Amazon. And this was the tripod that, if you remember, when I was filming at in Forum, you're like, wow, it doesn't go up any higher. And I'm like, no, that's as far as it goes. And you're like, okay, put it on a chair or table. We need to get it up a little bit higher. But it's fine for what I'm using. And I've got my external webcam, and I think I paid $80 for that. And then I invested in, this is a little smart lav.
Yep.
I showed this on one of my previous videos, but it's just got one plug-in. And so before we were talking about getting this set up, and I was like, Carrie, I mean, like, this is a really dumb question, but I'm sure somebody else is thinking the same dumb question. So I'm just going to ask it. I have one hole to plug this into my laptop. And if I plug my lavalier microphone in there, the audio capture quality is better, but now I can't hear anything. So then what do I do? I mean, I've got like a little headset like this.
That's the video I sent you.
Oh, the video I can't, it's not playing, it's showing it's private. So yeah.
It is?
But I have a question. So I've got this little headset, and it's got a microphone, but I've got two cords on here. And I can only either capture or hear. I can't do both. So my stupid question that other people might be wondering the same thing, is there a special device that I need to buy? Or can it just be anything that has like a plug-in with a splitter with two holes in? So tell us a little about that, Carrie. What was your response to that?
No, it's like a $5 little splitter that you need to buy. And that's, so in this video that I'm trying to send you.
Yeah.
Anyway, I will post a link later, but I did make a little video that showed what this piece was, because it did take me a long time to figure out what it was, and it has to do with how many inputs are on the lavalier mic. So it's not an uncommon problem to have, but it's easily solved.
Okay, so could I just go on Amazon and just search for like audio splitter?
Yes.
And is there?
Yeah, my goal is, like, in the next couple months, I'm going to have, like, I have already started building on my website, is like, here's your entry-level gear, here's the semi-professional gear, and here's the pro gear, and then how do these different things look in different situations. And so I'm going to have links to that. So
I'm like hungry for this stuff, because it's like,
I know. People have been asking me for a long time. So
yeah, and you're like the kind of person, I think mainly you work with really large organizations or corporations, but you also do work with individuals. But again, they're the people that have the budget to spend on a professional. You are a professional. You're not like rinky-dink operation using an iPhone, showing up with a, rinky-dink tripod. I mean, you're coming with real equipment, but having said that, you probably have an eye for, what do you need, and what are, there's lower price points in getting similar equipment that you have at the higher price points. And we can learn from your experiences as well. Things like you need a tripod that raises to at least X feet, or if not, put it on a chair or a table. So there's things like that. So I'm going to throw another question up on screen here, Carrie, and there's a couple more that I think will be good wrap-up questions, but I'm going to throw this question up on screen. This is from Sarah. And I think, Sarah, if I'm not mistaken, you're in the UK. I could be mistaken. But she's asking about 2 large sleeping bags she puts on her desk to dampen the sound. So that's really creative. I love how she's being crafty and using something there. So thoughts on that, professional tools for sound dampening.
I mean, the professional tools are called sound blankets. So she's got the right idea. I mean, I guess unless you're going to build yourself some kind of little studio with egg cartons, like cardboard egg cartons all around you. I mean, that's the other thing that could work. I guess it's just, the general environment that you're recording in. Maybe that needs to move. So if you're in a kitchen with laminate floors and appliances and windows and there's no cushioning for anything, you're just going to have that sound. So even carpet on your floor. I mean, the same as in a nice cozy restaurant compared to a noisy restaurant. The same things that you're going to do just to make it more soundproof. Cars are actually really good places to record audio because there's because there's audio engineers, it's their whole job is to figure out how to make cars, because there's a lot of mechanical parts in a car and you don't want to hear those all the time. And so that's why if you're in an accident and something even if it's just a little ding, you suddenly you're hearing something all the time. That's because it's not pristine anymore.
So let me just repeat that and maybe do an add-on to that. So you said cars are a good place for recording audio, but I'm guessing you mean when you're sitting in your car sedentary, not driving, right? Do you get the background noise? Because you don't want to be operating.
So we live in Michigan, and because we are, we all, even if we've never worked for the audio company, somebody in your family has worked for the auto company, and maybe our standards of safety are a little higher, but you're not going to want to operate a car when you're driving. So unless someone else is driving, I mean, your car is probably going to be pretty quiet even when you are driving it because of what the engineers have done.
But you don't want to do the audio while you're driving.
Don't do it. No, no video while you're driving.
Yeah, and I don't know about you, Carrie, but sometimes when I see people doing, and I get it, we're driving and it's efficient time to use the driving time. And I do phone calls and stuff, but I've seen some people, they put their phone in the little, where's the holders over there, and then they're doing a video as they're driving, and it's not live, and it's usually a recorded playback. But I'm I don't know about you, but I never even or comment on them. And sometimes I'll message the person afterwards and I'll be cool message, but it's for safety reasons. I don't want to encourage bad. It's like my kids. I don't want to encourage bad behavior by laughing at something they shouldn't be doing. Yeah. Same thing. I don't want to or comment on a video. And audio might work great in your car. I think to an extent you can do video in your car as well. Sometimes it's kind of day in the life. You're in your car grabbing a quick video before you walk in, but you also don't want to do a video in your car if you're trying to get your professional image out there. Right.
I want to talk about my movie that I'm working on.
Okay, let's talk about your movie.
So let's go show that clip from we're calling it The Mackinac now. I think the title has evolved since that clip that we shot. And you don't even need to turn the audio on if you just want to show the video. Okay. And the reason why I want to talk about this is I'm a sailor and I shot the Port Huron to Mackinac race. Yep, that's it right there. And so this was in 2015 that I shot this. And as far as the equipment I took on board, so it was just myself.
Can I turn the volume off as we're watching this? This is
you should be able to. I think you can.
Because if I hit play and then it doesn't look like there's a setting in here, this is bringing it large screen. But if I mute my whole desktop, I think it'll mute our broadcast. I don't think there's a way I can mute it, can I? Are you still there?
I feel like you should be able to mute it.
Sailing.
I feel like that.
We can be quiet for a few seconds.
Our film follows
live video, everybody.
As
they travel through all the conditions you might encounter.
So I can still talk over this.
On the Great Lakes.
So on this shoot, I brought my workhorse camera, which is a Sony EX1, which is just a little Sony camera that I picked up probably 10 years. It still works really, really well. And I had 3 GoPros with me.
Wow.
And different mounts. I did lose one GoPro overboard. So
no.
It was more regretful to lose the footage that I shot than the camera itself. But in any case, so I was so unhappy with when I finished the race. I was so unhappy with it. I couldn't even bear to look at the footage for like at least a year. And then I promised I was going to make this film. And before I started yet another project where I wasn't going to make any money, I needed to finish this project. So I've gone back to it. And I think it was, about a year and a half ago, I had someone working for me who was more of an editor. And I said, okay, just put everything in chronological order, all the footage in chronological order. Let me just take a look at that. But I think what happens in the 5 years since I shot it from now until now is that my own expectations of what makes a good shot or how things need to look, they've really shifted because there's so much more video out there that's shot by consumers that now when I watch it, I'm like, hey, it's not bad. And so I did a preview screening back in the fall, and I showed it at one of the yacht clubs in town to say, okay, is this even something people are interested in? And so the response was yes. And so now I've been working on doing the final music and audio mix. And so I'm hoping that we'll have a spot in the Free Press Film Festival in April. But I mean, that's kind of nothing like a deadline to make you actually.
Right. I'm like, April, that's coming up here pretty quick. We do have an extra day in February this year, but you've got,
I'll be using it.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
That's
exactly.
awesome. So I just dropped the link below here, guys. I'm going to remove this from the stream so you can see, drop the link below here so you can go to Mimeo.com. And in the LinkedIn, I'll add it in there later so you can watch that video if you'd like to watch the full thing from start to finish. So really cool. Thank you, Carrie, for sharing that.
The other thing that I just started doing recently, and I think I have to thank you for it, Brenda, is that I just started making these videos with Inforum because they weren't really doing a lot of video content that was specific to these events. And it kind of was at the same time, all of the Oscar nominees had just come out. And once again, it was a little bit of not a little bit, it was big sausage fest again. It's all the nominees, all the directors, most of the people that were involved and behind the scenes were mostly men again. And so I feel like, I've been trying to produce content for a long time and tell more women's stories. And I started attending these Inforum events more frequently. And I was like, all these women are amazing and they each have their own story to tell, whatever kind of business they're doing. So I just started shooting these little interviews. This one's from their, the leadership report that happened recently. And so I just started showing up. And I think that was one of your comments one day, don't wait for someone to ask you to do something. If you see that there's a need, just show up and start doing it. So that's kind of what I started doing. And because I do interviews, I was like, well, let me just talk to these people and see what they have to say. So I go and I listen to what the presentation is, and then I try and grab them afterwards and do a quick interview with what their focus is or what their key tips. And it's been really, it's been rewarding. It's been fun. So
that's awesome. And what are you doing with these? Are you sharing these? And I'm asking a question I know the answer, but
yeah, no, that's all right. So I guess I also felt like I just needed to be making more video content myself, to be marketing myself, but I've never been the person, I've never been that interested in what I have to say. I'm more interested in what other people have to say in their stories. And so I kind of just, instead of me being in the picture all the time, giving my advice, I've just turned it around and I started asking other people for their advice. So I've been using it on LinkedIn first. LinkedIn is the first place that I usually publish as a quick recap of an event that you may have missed. And then I've also incorporated it into kind of a weekly recap of people when I meet them at networking events. I will send the newsletter out to them. So
I love it.
Yeah,
I think this is great. And I mean, you're doing this because you do this for a living, but I mean, really anybody could do this. And this is a technique I started doing as well. When I wanted to get better at Facebook Live, I just started doing Facebook Live everywhere I go. Anytime I was at an event I had my iPhone. I would ask permission first, ask the speaker if it was okay. And there's a few times where they were kind of hesitant. And I said, if you don't want me to, I won't. And they said, no, I don't really want you to because it makes me nervous. And other times people would say, no, go for it. And here's the bonus, guys. If you are like me and you've got this tiny little device and it's limited storage on here, when you stream live to Facebook, Facebook holds the video and that's where the memory is sitting. Versus if you do a video straight from your device and the memory is sitting on your device, then you're getting those messages from iPhone, Apple, whatever, saying you're out of memory, you're out of memory. So that was my little workaround there. And now that LinkedIn's got live, I'm using StreamYard. So I pay like a monthly fee because it gets the branding off and everything, but the recording sits on StreamYard, and then afterwards I pull it down and then I'll push it up to YouTube, and I'll send Carrie the link and stuff too so she can merchandise it out. But what I'm hearing Carrie say is, just start doing it. When you're out and about, I think it's a really great way of getting good is just by practicing, by doing, by making mistakes and learning from them, because they're all learning experiences, right? And you're going to notice different things, camera angles and lighting. And there was somebody I had on not too long ago, and Matt Dibble, he was saying, when you're filming, you've got your light source, your camera, and you. And now I'm really being more intentional about where my lighting sources are in the video. And you've got, so many great tips too. And we've talked about, what to wear on camera, and we've talked about equipment today. I'm going to actually take a pause here, Carrie, just to look and see who's online with us, because I haven't looked in a little while. And I'm sure we've had some questions coming in on Facebook, and I've been preloading those. So while I'm looking for the comments, I'm going to add a comment up on screen here from Kevin. I'm going to remove the video, make it a little bit larger. And then, Carrie, I'll let you answer this while I look to see who is on LinkedIn and what questions we have from there.
Well, thanks, Kevin. So what are some ways that a business or organization can benefit from your services? Okay, so most people don't usually produce videos for a living. So I think just helping them get organized, and as far as a checklist on what kind of videos, like helping guide them through, just like even a life coach, but your communication message. And I think that the thing that, people that are in communications, that do communications every day in their business or organization, sometimes they forget, or they aren't really thinking about, they aren't always thinking about the images as far as what does the frame around somebody look like, and how do you best prepare someone to be on camera or to do on camera interview. And so I think that just getting someone to help coach you through the process and make you feel comfortable in front of the camera. So I think that the best feedback that I've gotten from clients, just in general, is that when we're done, is that they say, you made me feel really comfortable, because it can be very nerve-wracking. And so I think that if you kind of feel just more relaxed, and in order to get there, it just takes, it is like any other kind of coach, like a sports coach or a life coach. A camera coach is kind of, a director essentially is the same thing. To get your best performance, we'll call it, to have you be the most authentically you. So I think that's probably, as far as what I do compared to everybody else that's making videos out there, is that I really focus on the person and the personality and getting them to feel comfortable on camera. That's what I do better than everybody else. I've never been super cool or funny or, a lot of things.
You're super cool. If you guys don't understand how cool here, I'm not. You are. Just stop. You can say that you're not cool. You can let me say that you're cool for you. It's fine. But you are cool. You are.
Yeah, but I've never been like the cutting edge, making the videos that are super hot. Like that's just not what I am really good at. But I will make people feel good about their presentation on camera, and that's really rewarding for me. So thanks for the question, Kevin. I appreciate it.
So I'm gonna just put this up on screen right now. Hold on here. I'm trying to type and talk and I'm trying to be really cool right now myself. But oh shoot, hold on. We got a typo. Hold on. Carrie is cool. There, let's try this again. Live video, you guys. You see it happening in action as we're going. Carrie is cool. There's your tip. You should connect with her. And if you're not already, I'm going to have to throw her LinkedIn up on screen here, linkedin.com/in/Carrie LeZotte. And Carrie, are you open to connection requests from folks that are watching the video?
Of course, absolutely. Please connect with me.
I always tell people too, when you invite someone to connect, to make sure to include a personal note. And what you guys might want to do when you invite Carrie to connect is just drop her a quick line and say, hey, Carrie, I saw you on LinkedIn Live with Brenda. You were super cool, and I definitely want to connect with you on LinkedIn. And I'm sure that she'd be open to that. I'm going to pop her LinkedIn up on screen here.
I do want to just say one more thing. So these are clothes that are, can I see the brand name? Where is it there? Okay, etc. There it is.
I'll show something on screen.
Oh, yeah.
We're going over each other here.
Okay.
I knew this was like, okay, here we go. There we go.
So I'm just showing the cover of this booklet. This is so a while ago I started, well, I can't say, I don't know if I started my career, but I worked for Marshall Field's, Hudson's, Macy's when it was going through that transition really early. Right after college, I worked for Hudson's. And so I sold clothes for probably 5 years before I started making videos all the time. Cool. And so I've always liked beautiful clothes. And yes. I think what you're finding in stores these days is because everything's been manufactured so quickly is that a lot of the fabrics and materials and the what you're finding available in the stores isn't
the quality's not
isn't
good.
What it used to be.
Yeah.
And so this line, I started selling it 4 times a year in my home. It's kind of like I set up, all right, I block this week off for production. I'm going to have the clothes in, and the women will come in and buy the clothes. So I'm doing that now. My show starts Thursday and runs through next Wednesday. So it's, if people want to come in and be styled and the etc. line, I'll add that link later to our live stream. So
drop it in the comments, and that way people can land on it. And I'm going to put up on screen right now. It's a little bit of toggling back and forth as I'm doing this. Oops, I think I just pulled your contact info up on screen here. So this is Carrie on LinkedIn, guys. So Carrie does a really great job. Where's her banner? Over this way. Here's her banner. Carrie does a really great job. She's got a good LinkedIn coach. I wonder who that might be helping her out. And she's doing a great job of keeping her headshot photo updated, and she's also been changing out her banner and using this as kind of a promotional area for her business or products and services. So you can learn a lot by this banner area at the top of her profile and some of the things that are coming up. And I think we're kind of coming up to the end of the broadcast here, Carrie.
We've got a long time.
Couldn't you just talk all day though? Isn't this fun?
Yes. It's more fun than doing actual work.
It is. But I love that we get a chance to kind of chat with each other. And, selfishly for me, I always schedule people who aren't just cool, but they're also very inspirational. And in this whole series I've been calling it Social Media P.I.E, which is finding inspiring people to inspire and educate you, the people who are viewing this. And secretly, I'm always looking for people that I have an interest in their topic. So as I'm continuing to expand my own video library and my DIY production capabilities, I'm learning a lot of tips from Carrie. And part of the reason I selfishly wanted to have her on today was to learn more from her, because I think she's amazing. So to wrap up, Carrie, I'm just going to see who we have comments on, who else we haven't said hi to. So we have Dee, who says good afternoon. Hi, Dee. Ryan. Hello, Ryan. We have Kevin Burns, who's been on with us. Tommy, nice to see your name again. And Connie, welcome. Hi, Connie. Thanks for joining us. We've got Jan Saud, who's been joining us. Hi, guys. How are you? Amy Lazar joined us there as well. And Farhan, who's been joining us. And I think I'm seeing 40 people right now, but I'm also seeing, if I go to LinkedIn, I think we've had like 235 views of the video so far, which I think is a record, or actually 237. So within the session, so what happens is when you guys start watching a video, I don't know how many seconds on LinkedIn it is, but it's for so many seconds. If you watch it, they count it as a view. And I know that Carrie will be watching for comments later. So if you're happening to be watching this in playback, still drop her a comment below, but then invite her to connect with you. And if there's any additional questions you have about being in front of the camera, about doing your own video, questions about lighting, sound, those types of things. And then some of the items we talked about, we'll drop in the show notes as well. I'll usually put those up on YouTube, but I'll try to put those on LinkedIn for you guys too. So Carrie, thank you so much. Any closing? And I think there was one question. I'm going to pull this question up. So this is a question from Ryan. So if there's only one thing you wanted people to walk away with today, Carrie, what would it be?
I think the one thing is that don't be afraid to turn the camera on and just start letting people into what you're doing and who you are, because there are people that are interested, and we all have expertise to share. And it's just an amazing world right now where you can connect with people all over it. And so I would just say, get in there and start making more videos. And I guess the big thing is the camera angle. That would be my one.
The other, there's two. If there was two, it'd be like, don't be afraid, and then get a good camera.
Make sure you're shooting it at the right angle.
It's like when your mom sends you out and she's like, you know, be careful and make sure you're wearing clean underwear. It's like, what? What was that second tip? So awesome. So as we wrap here, guys, I'm just going to drop a couple more things up on screen here. If you're interested in being notified about my future LinkedIn Live broadcast, make sure you visit the link below, mellermarketing.com/subscribe, and I'll send notifications of future sessions. Reminder, Carrie is cool. You should definitely connect with her on LinkedIn, and her LinkedIn URL is up here on screen. So thank you guys so much for joining us on live. If you're watching in playback, still leave us a like and drop a comment below. Let us know where you're watching from, what time of day you're watching it from, and any questions that Carrie might have. So thank you so much, Carrie. I had fun today. I hope you have a great rest of the day.
Have a great week.
All right, guys. Thank you. Have a good one.